Being the hour of 7 p.m., we'll open the Selectmen's Meeting of November 26th. Before I go into the agenda items, I'd like to request a moment of silence for Earl F. Faniff, Sr., who served on various committees here in the town of Oxford. Thank you. First item on the agenda is cable television renewal.
We have here Mr. Chairman, Kate L. Jadidi, who's chairman of the our Cable Advisory Committee, and Peter Epstein, who's our attorney in this matter.
Okay. Mr. Manager?
I'm sorry, Peter? Oh, would you, or
Kate?
between the two of you? I know they've been working diligently with...
Whichever one would like to
Well,
begin.
you have the contracts in front of you, and the last time we were here, we actually had given you our summary of what was going on, and so Peter has actually finalized everything in front of you, so the contract before you pretty much has everything in it that we're ready for you to sign. The information is pretty accurate, and we're ready for you to sign it. It's pretty fair. It doesn't have any additional costs to the subscribers. It gives Access Oxford the opportunity to grow and give you the opportunity every year to see if they need more money to grow. As you can see, in the last 6 months, they've done a great job in having some technology and some great programming, but that's the basis of what we were doing is making sure that they have the funding that they need. But in this economy, we don't really want to have any more costs incurred at this point, but have the opportunity in the future to have that funding available for them. And certainly they are very conscious of their costs, and certainly in the last 10 years have done a wonderful job in controlling those costs. And right now they are doing fine with what they have, and have certainly, like I said, been very great at controlling their budget over the last 10 years. So we just want to make sure that as they grow, you might have the possibilities of having the opportunity to increase the revenue for them. But at this time, they're doing great. So,
Board members? Yes.
When you were up here last time, I asked if you could give a veterans military discount. Like I said, I feel the veterans put their lives on the line. People, we can live the way we live. And there was nothing in here about that.
Well, there is, in the senior discount,
Yeah, but military discount, not
yeah,
senior.
one of the criteria, and let me just get to that. I believe that one of the criteria was veteran services benefits. And I think we had done that before, and it was our understanding that if you were a vet, that would have been one of the criteria for getting the discount in Section 8.4. And that is in 8.4B, Section 3, Veteran Services Benefits on page 29. Now, it doesn't say in the caption is just senior citizen and handicap residents discount, but it does have that criteria in paragraph B.
That's for a disabled veteran.
It doesn't necessarily say, it says senior citizen or handicap citizen discount. So whether or not, I'd have to check with Charter to see if they limit that to disabled vets or it's any vets.
Right,
And to tell you the
that.
truth, we can check on that, sir.
Thank you.
Sure. Sure.
Comments, questions? Yes, Mr. Bosa.
I know we'd also spoken about extending the senior citizen discount to all services that Charter offers, and you were gonna go back and talk or do whatever you were gonna do, but here again, contract after contract, this is a sticking point, and Charter does nothing with it. You know, they have an exclusive only in the aspect that no other cable company has come into town yet.
Correct.
And I really hope that another cable company does come into town, and I hope that they offer a discount on everything, because people have to understand that this contract is not an exclusive contract.
Correct.
If someone else comes in tomorrow and says, hey, I want to string cable in Oxford, we can give them a license. If
Correct.
Verizon wants to come in, we can give them a license.
Correct.
And I really hope they do, because Charter is pretty cavalier in their approach, I think. They know they have us over a barrel. We're a paper tiger, so to speak. I hate to say, but that's the truth. We're certainly not going to not renew the contract, because what are we going to do? 6 months from now, everyone's cable's going to turn off?
Right.
It ain't going to go over big.
Right.
So, I'm disappointed in Charter. I mean, they don't even answer the question as to why it isn't offered across the board. You go to Home Depot, they don't say, hey, we're gonna give you a discount on a bag of nails, but, you're gonna buy a toilet. No, I ain't gonna give you a discount. It's the most preposterous thing I ever seen, that this discount is limited to basic cable. So a senior who might want something more than basic is not gonna get the discount. It's absolutely, ridiculous, and I'm frustrated, and there's nothing we can do about it. I know it, and sometimes I wonder why we even go through this exercise. We should just, hey, sign the damn thing, because, matter of fact, the representative from Charter doesn't even bother coming anymore, right? He used to come. You don't come anymore.
We've had actually a lot of discussions about this in our committee, because I kind of.
Believe me, my frustration is not with you. I applaud everything you guys are
No, but
doing.
you
I
know-
know that you're volunteers and you're working hard, and my frustration is with Charter and their cavalier attitude towards the town of Oxford. Like, I just cannot wait until someone else comes into this town. I just can't wait, and give the people of this town an option, because this is aggravating.
It is, but on a small level, as a community, there are small steps that we can take, because you're right, it is a de facto monopoly. And, since there are some people watching, as a whole, you can make a difference with your wallet. And the fact of the matter is, you don't have to stop having Charter, but it would be a good idea to have a conversation with your family members. And, at the end of the day, you do need Charter maybe for your internet, but you don't need 400 channels. And at the end of the day, you could hurt Charter by talking to your high school family members and saying, you know what? How about we do, say, on January 1st, we're just having internet and the basic cable, and we're not going to pay $170 a month for our cable. We're just going to spend $60 a month. And, that's what hurts Charter at the end of the day, because how they make their money is by the big packages. So just like when you say, I'm not going to buy my produce at Walmart, I'm going to go to the farm stand. At the end of the day, sometimes our small community efforts, just like when we say we love this Access Oxford idea because it's homegrown and it's community-based. I know it sounds crunchy granola, but at the end of the day, this contract really isn't going to do anything towards that. But the small steps that we can take by making it a little bit more local and saying, you know what, I'm going to take a diet on Charter, and I'm going to go not get that extra sports package and go watch the game, at the local spot.
And I understand that, but just from the aspect that,
It is wrong.
there
I
are
agree.
people who can, elderly, who maybe
I
can
agree.
afford maybe a little more cable, but they're not gonna get the discount. I just think that's wrong. I think that the reason why Home Depot and Lowe's and whoever offer these discounts is they know, because if they don't offer it, well, they will. And that's the way business is. And I think that Charter, in fact, treats us like monopoly. And it's, personally, I think that the lawmakers should get involved in this and give the cities and towns a little more leverage. We have zero leverage here. We really don't. And there are a lot of good things that come from Charter. We do have Access Oxford. We have, they do a fantastic job. So I don't want to discount that, but I'm just aggravated. We have this, just so people at home know, there's a contract in front of us, and it's quite extensive. And in this contract, it says what Charter must do. And this is not only for the town of the employees of the town of Oxford, the administration of the town, but this is for you at home. If you want a copy of this and you want to make sure Charter's doing everything they're supposed to do for you, by all means, come to the selectman's office, the town manager's office, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to give every resident a copy of this, because there's a lot of things in here that I didn't know, things that they have to do. And I just want to let people know, don't feel powerless. Come to the town hall, take a look at this contract. It's a public document. Joe, tree trimming, do you feel, it says that they're responsible for tree trimming. That's always a problem here in town, come winter time.
around-
What has Charter been doing as far as trimming trees and things of that nature?
I know there's tree trimming going on. In the past, National Grid, or when it was Mass Electric, was more aggressive in that. I don't know if they now do it together. I know poles are shared with, between the phone company and the electric company.
Right.
I've seen, neither of those companies, nor Charter, have their own tree trimming
Right, they
team, so they
sub it out,
but they sub it out, and our tree warden is out with them. I couldn't tell you how they contribute
Right.
to that, but
And the-
I suspect
And
they
the reason
do.
why I bring that up is because I know that in this contract, it's basically an act of God clause, big storms, things of that nature, but if they're not out trimming their trees and they got branches falling on these things, people out of service for 5, 6, 8, 10 days, because it's an act of God, in most cases, these people aren't, the residents aren't entitled to a refund on their cable bill. But if they're not doing their job, then they absolutely should be, and that's why it's incumbent upon us as, the town leaders to make sure that they are doing this and people are getting what they paid for.
Well, they are subject to the town's DPW regs, and as Joe said, they have to work with your tree warden.
And I understand that, but if we're not doing that, if we're not doing our due diligence, then it's
yeah.
not gonna get done.
Yeah, I
Charter's
mean, the
not gonna
town
go-
clearly needs to, when you mention the license, and it's about 75 pages, the town, and hopefully you'll still have a committee, so that the committee can be looking at this just to make sure that Charter is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And that would be a good idea if that's something the selectmen want to continue. For example, making sure that, Charter is doing everything it's supposed to be doing about this institutional network. And as you know, that's a continuation from the previous license, so that will be in place for the next 10 years as well. And there's no charge for that. There's no maintenance charge for that. But, somebody on a regular basis needs to be familiar with the license and where Charter is on this, so they can advise you, because, you got a lot of things to do. And having a committee, I find, is a useful thing, because the committee can sort of stay up to date with what's going on with Charter. You may have heard Time Warner Cable is now in play. It's a big cable company. And one of the companies that has expressed interest in that is Charter. Now, there's nothing you can particularly do about it, but it is something that, the committee or somebody should sort of keep track of, so you know what's going on with the company. Look, I agree with you. If we could get competition in here, that is a good thing. And where we have Verizon in eastern Massachusetts, it tends to keep rates, sort of at bay. Frankly, it doesn't do much for the senior discount, because Verizon doesn't offer one, but it has other benefits. And we had hoped that Verizon would keep expanding westward, but as you know, it was probably 5 years ago, they basically stopped. I think they kind of ran out of money. Hopefully something will happen, but who knows. But you're absolutely right. This is a non-exclusive license, and at any time, Verizon or any other company can come to the town, can come to you as issuing authority and ask for, a competitive license. Sure.
And as well, when Tom seemed so resistant to that military and senior discount, Peter as well became very resistant on the things that Tom wanted taken out of the contract, as far as when they didn't want that internet to be used for nonprofits.
The INET.
The INET.
Yeah.
Tom said, well, no, we're absolutely keeping that in. If you're not going to budge on that, then we refuse to budge on that. And so it wasn't all one-sided where Charter held all the cards, because there were some cards in play that when we brought you those bullet points and you said, well, feel free to leverage those, that's what he used.
Yeah, these days, your local programming, let's face it, is a big part of these licenses. It's something that, as a board, you control. And as Kate mentioned, initially the annual funding stays the same. We got more capital than previous, but we've spread it out in such a way that the cost to subscribers should either be the same or a little less because of how they will amortize that. And that's a big benefit. People, they're paying for it, we know that, but they're getting something in return. They're getting this programming. So, that tends to be a big a plus for a lot of communities these days.
Yes, Mr. Berthew.
You just said that Tom wouldn't budge on a military thing?
No, when he was talking about the discounts, when we were talking about having a much larger discount, the discounts seem to be, if you're the 10% that already qualify for a very, almost like the poverty level or whatever. When we were talking about it, seemed to be a much more sweeping kind of thing that we were hoping to generate, kind of be a little bit more cutting edge, because it seemed that we were a hub for Oxford or something like that. And we were kind of hoping to kind of push a little bit more, because they don't offer it anywhere else. He got a big pushback from that. Even when we tried to get the 10% for the ones that were already in place, he would only allow that to continue for another 6 months. So the other stuff that was on the plate, we pulled back on that he had wanted in the contract. But at the end of the day, most of the information in the contract really had to do with the access channels. That's really where the crux of the contract comes in play, because again, it is a de facto monopoly. Most of the contract is what it is. We were just kind of trying to utilize, just from reading it and kind of seeing what we could kind of get in there and grind away at, if there were any loopholes, if there was anything that we could kind of get in, sink our teeth into, we would use it to our benefit. But at the end of the day, it's no different than what any other town is going through, what any other town is seeing. We were just trying to play with it a little bit if we could. But most of what that contract is about the access channels and trying to get some growth, allow those channels to grow and not incur costs to the community.
All right, Chief,
Right.
do you know when did this extension run out that we signed?
We had 2
Today?
extensions. The second one expired at midnight yesterday. So it just expired. We were trying to get this done, but we're all right with that. But it expired yesterday at midnight.
They're not going to shut our cable off.
No, believe me, you could do anything you want, and they will never shut that cable off. They will never shut that
I
cable.
would like to, he said he was gonna find out about the veterans thing, what the thing was. I think we could defer the vote, because I'll vote no. I like if we could defer the vote till he can come back with a positive, a yes or no on that.
I guess that's a decision that the board would have to make. Let's hold that until we get all the questions answered, and then we'll take that up. Okay, any other questions? All right, I have more comments than questions. I have been totally frustrated with the cable system, and I think it's gotten to the point where we really have no control. I mean, whatever you do in that contract is very minuscule, okay? They give us a little just to let us know that there is some give and take. But there's more give from us and more take from them. And that's true not only in Oxford, but in every community they serve across this Commonwealth.
Yeah, that's
Okay?
correct.
And I am tired of being a rubber stamp for the cable industry. And that was the first item that came up. Mr. Vos brought it up. You know, it's very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. And the thing is, I can understand what you said as a member of the committee, that, you know, we do have some control. We, being the community, residents who have the system can cut back and hurt the cable company in that way by not getting as much services. But that's not the way, that's fine to do, but that's really not the way that this should be handled. When people are having problems with their cable TVs and they can't get any satisfaction from the cable company, you know who they come to? Me, him, and him. And the town manager. Okay? And there's not a darn thing we can do about it, because our hands are tied. And it's very, very frustrating. And another thing that I'm a little concerned about is I can recall several years ago, you came in with the cable company and they sat there in the front row and they told us about they were restructuring their corporation. And there was a lot of questions involving their financial status at the time. And they were moving stocks around. People were buying stocks, and
I think it may have been around when they declared
they
bankruptcy.
declared bankruptcy. That's
I
correct.
believe that was it,
Yeah.
yes.
And there was a lot of legal mumble jumble on how they handled this whole thing.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, and this was a few years ago, so I don't
Yeah.
remember specifically all the details. But what I got out of that meeting was that they weren't that financially strong. They were predicting their financial strength based on their future. And that's not the way to do business as far as I'm concerned. So since that day, I've always been skeptical of their financial stability, and I will continue to be that way until they can prove otherwise. In addition to that, I've seen times when the cable company has been very good towards us, like right now, because it's contract time. I mean, they were over there, they were working with Access Oxford, they were doing things, they were helping us out, they were answering our questions. That's great. But where were they in the first 9 years? They knew the contract was coming up. And it was good for us, because Access Oxford has become a real benefit for us.
Yeah, good.
Okay? And another thing, you mentioned how they did so much with Access Oxford. They have. But you know what? Cable ain't paying for that. Every single ratepayer, everybody that has a TV and internet is paying for that. The percentage comes out of that rate fee and goes to Access Oxford to support Access Oxford. Cable gives us zero. We pay for it. The people who use the system are paying for it.
Correct.
So this is very, very frustrating for me. And finally, the thing that I don't like is the 10-year contract. I said it the last time you were in here. I felt that it should be 5-year. And only because technology is moving so rapidly. We've seen in the past 10 years, we've gone from cassettes to discs to,
Yeah.
you name it. It just progresses. Technology is moving faster today than it did 10 years ago. So
Correct.
we don't know what effect that's going to have on the financial stability of an existing company.
Right, right.
We don't know what benefits are going to be derived when that, in fact, does change and there's new technology. I would like to be able to have the flexibility to negotiate contracts with other vendors that may come in with a new product. So my feeling is 5-year contract only. I don't know what this board's going to do.
Yeah.
But if it's a 10-year contract, I will not sign it. That's my editorial comments for the evening. If anybody
Can
else
I-
has anything else?
Great.
Mr. Epstein?
Yeah, I would just I understand your frustration, and as you know, the franchising schematic, as it were, is really based on federal law. And most of this goes back to 1984. And, you know, this ability of operators to pass through costs, we lost that fight back in 1984, and we fought it. We said, they shouldn't pass this through. This is the cost of their business, but Congress let them do it. And most of this, what you see, is as a result of federal regulation, the Cable Act, to the degree that technology changes, Mr. Chair, and it certainly changes quickly. Another provision of the 96 Act says we can't negotiate their technology. We can't tell them how to design their infrastructure, and I know it's frustrating. One, in a sense, in a competitive environment, you would think that companies would certainly upgrade because it's in their interest to do so. I think what's going to happen in the next 10 years is, you know, Charter is more or less where a lot of companies are now technologically. But I think you're going to find increasingly that consumers are looking elsewhere, and especially young consumers. And as you know, people, you know, with their handhelds are getting Hulu and other things. So I suspect that that's going to be the demographic coming up. You know, 5 years, 10 years, I understand the 5-year rationale, and about the only thing I can say is, to the degree that you would want a shorter license to negotiate technology, we just can't do it. That's the problem. And if you do 5 years, then after 2 years, you have to start again. Now, I don't mind, because maybe I'd be back, maybe I won't be back, maybe I won't be doing this in 2 years. But in a sense, do you want to do it again in 2 years? Because, as you know, you have to start 3 years in advance. And we discussed this in the committee. We said, well, if you do 2 years, 5 years, 2 years going to go by, and you have to start all over again. And I suspect not much is going to change. You know, the best thing that could happen is if we get competition. And that's just a financial thing. And, you know as well as I do today, whether or not somebody is going to build another, land-based technology here or anywhere else when you have everything that's become IP. That's the problem. But that may also give people a choice. I mean, I don't want to see Charter go bankrupt again. I think what we all want to see is that your residents and consumers have a choice, and they don't feel that, they only have one choice. But I certainly understand your frustration, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr.
Mr.
Booth.
Chairman, question, section 6.5, line I, we're gonna get $100,000 payable within 60 days of execution of the renewal.
Yes.
What happens to if we go to a 5? They're gonna want to rework that number?
Well, I think if you go to 5, we would have to renegotiate this, because as Kate mentioned to you, one of the things we're trying to do, cable operators, again under federal law, can simply pass through all these costs. So we were trying to keep the costs from going up. We know what they are now. And under this new, the $100,000 right away and the $10,000 a year for 10 years, when we did the, we did the amortization, those costs should go down a little, because before, as I recall, Charter provided $150, but I think it was, I'll check, it was maybe all at once or in 2 payments. So part of what we were trying to do was simply not increase costs to your subscribers. That's what we were trying to do. If you went to 5, theoretically it would, I don't know if Charter would say, well, now it's half of that, because that's, we were trying to just assume that we would get the most favorable license agreement for residents in the town. Are there 5-year licenses that get signed? Yeah, there are. There are. Not many, most are 10, but there are some 5 years.
And as far as the technology aspect, I understand John's frustration, because I think we're all frustrated. Where this is a non-exclusive contract and someone else wanted to come in and
Yes.
and we signed a 10-year.
Yes.
Just because we signed a 10-year contract doesn't you know, if someone else comes in, say Verizon comes in, and whether we have a 5 or a 10-year, it isn't, you know, someone from Charter can jump at any point in time and say, listen, this is a better deal for us. So I don't really know if there's that much of advantage. If Charter's not up with their technology and someone else brings in a newer technology or has better funding or whatever the case may be, well, you know, me, you, we can all jump over at that point. And Charter, if it's in their best interest to keep the technology, but if they're not, they'll lose market share rapidly, because nowadays people are technology junkies. The newest iPhone, newest iPad, everyone and their brother comes out and gets it. So I don't know what advantage there would be to a 5-year. From a standpoint of vengeance, I guess it'd be fun, you know. But I don't know that it would be. I don't know what advantage we would have, really. I think we'd be looking at possibly taking money away from Access Oxford. We'd be looking at paying you again in, you know, a couple of years, which I don't think we're getting anything for our money. No, I'm just kidding. But
What a good joke.
Well, that's part of it. I mean, do you want to?
I mean, where it's all,
If I thought
where
in
it's all
2
so laid
years-
out and there's very little room
Yeah,
for, honestly, I mean, I understand we have to pay you, but for what we actually get at the end, I mean, I'm not
I-
really sure
I
that we want to
understand.
do this every 5 years,
I
because we're not.
understand that.
And-
If I thought after 2 years that something was going to change and that you were going to be able to get a lot more, then I'd say, well, you know, then it's worth it. But there's nothing on the horizon under federal or state law that has changed. I don't think it's likely that another land-based competitor is going to come here. I mean, Verizon was the only one in Eastern Mass. And you're right, Verizon came in with a very fiber-rich system right to the home. And in those communities, for example, where Comcast is operating, you know, Comcast has lost significant market share. And Comcast is a pretty good company. And they've done it because Verizon has a more advanced platform. So you would expect to see that here. Of course, the problem is Verizon's not doing it anymore. You know, we had hoped they would, but they're not. So, you know, all I can say is I think 10 years for a number of reasons is the better way to go, but it's certainly, you know, your decision in the end.
Mr. Lamarche?
Thank you. I'm sorry, I missed your name,
Okay,
Kate. I have to agree with Kate in the aspect that it's the subscriber that's really going to hurt
Yeah.
Charter. And it is frustrating. I mean, what we are is a rubber stamp. That's all we are. To me, it doesn't matter whether it's 5 years, 10 years, because it's non-exclusive, so anybody can come in.
Correct.
To answer your question, Mr. Sad, I mean, people with iPhones right now, they can get movies and television on their
Correct.
iPhones right now.
Correct.
I know, I've been told by an executive with Verizon, the reason why they shut down their cable system is that they're looking for the future of going with wireless. And that, to me, is what's going to happen, is that I can see the future very shortly where we're not going to need cable. We're going to have a wireless system where we're going to be able to get that channel, those channels. And that's my belief. But, you know, if people are upset like we are with cable, then you make that decision. I mean, I know I talked to my wife just the other day about our bill, because it's like, holy schmolies. It blew my mind. I don't know much about our finances. She takes care of all that. But when I found that out, it was like, but what are you going to do? You can get a dish, but that's affected by all sorts of weather. So I think we're just tied. It's frustrating. We're all just venting.
in a couple of years, Charter could be the new Blockbuster. They could be giving it away. Maybe we'll have the
That's right.
access channels for free in 5 years.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, it's, you know,
Yep.
at the end of the day, it could be a bubble. You don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, and to the degree that everything migrates to broadband or IP, we don't, again, by congressional mandate, we can't regulate that. And of course, it may be more consumer friendly because maybe people can just say, I want to buy what I want to watch. I don't want to have to buy 300 channels when I only watch 20.
Right.
What you would lose is, in a sense, you would lose your support for this local programming. Because if everything goes to IP, we have no basis. I mean, they've got an expensive system out there, but if they start doing that, and right now there are some provisions that they cannot do so, but you understand that money for Access Oxford comes from the cable side because we don't regulate the telephone side or the IP. And you're absolutely right. All of your kids, they won't even know what cable TV is. No,
Right.
they will not know what cable TV, because
agree.
they're doing this. They're used to watching movies on this little screen that none of us can even see,
Yep.
much less. So the demographics would say by the time 7 years, when you do this again, I think it's going to be demographically a very different world, and it's going to be very different, the economics. Because I just don't know if Charter, and whether it's Charter or Comcast or Time Warner, in the end, they're all pretty similar. I mean, the discounts are pretty much the same. Some companies don't give discounts. They're pretty much the same. It may not support what they're doing. I think if you look at what Comcast is doing, Comcast is betting that, everything is migrating. And if you look at a lot of these new services, if you look at Hulu, which is, you can get movies and stuff, I think, TV shows. The cable industry owns Hulu. I think it's Comcast and Time Warner. I mean, they're hedging their bets.
Yeah.
And the FCC ostensibly controls this, but you've got these big regulatory agencies which, become captive of the industry. Tom Wheeler, who is the brand new FCC commissioner, used to be head of the NCTA, the National Cable TV Association.
Even your own Access Oxford is hedging their bets. They're online.
And they are online,
So-
and that's a good thing, because
Right.
frankly,
It is.
they can archive stuff in the cloud, and frankly, some people can get that programming and not be cable subscribers. We don't want to much about that, but they
We
can.
won't know
It's-
if you say it while we're on cable.
What? Well, unless you can read my lips, they didn't hear what I just.
Well, we went around and around and around tonight, and you know what we accomplished? Zero.
No, I
Because there's
understand.
nothing we can do. But at least
But
we
live
got
well. We
our,
can live well.
at least we got our frustrations
No,
out.
I understand.
And hopefully, the people at home can see what this is really all about, that we really have no control. So.
Correct.
It
That is
doesn't
correct.
matter.
You have limited
Might as well
control,
just put a
correct.
sign up every time cable company comes before us. Put a sign up, say, "We are your rubber stamp."
Right.
Because that's what we are. So with that being said, I don't think we have a choice but to go ahead and sign the contract. Because nothing any one of us can do will change a thing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we want clarification to Mr. Berthium's point of,
Yes.
we want to make sure that the veterans are included in the minuscule discount that they're offering.
Can we check that out? You want to hold it up?
Yes, a
Okay.
month, whatever, 3 months, how long you think it'd take him to figure it out?
You make a phone call?
Yeah, I can call them. Again, these senior discounts are rate issues.
I think we're talking about the veterans discount.
No, that I understand, and I think you're right, the way it's captioned, whether it's restricted to disabled veterans or it's the whole class, that I don't know what they've been doing. If you don't sign tonight, then we'll have to do another extension. We can do it, but
Oh, we got a meeting in, I'm sorry.
Next week.
John.
Don't we have a meeting next week?
We have another meeting next Tuesday.
Yes,
So you're gonna be looking
Tuesday.
at a week. So,
We'll be able to find out within a week.
I can call tomorrow and clarify. I understand what you want. Clarified is the discount, whether it applies to all veterans or that reference to the veterans' benefits just refers to handicapped veterans. Okay. And if that's what you would like to do, I can clarify that tomorrow.
Jared?
My only concern is that, like we just said, we've been around and around, and we're not going to get anywhere. So, I mean, I feel like whether they do it or not, we still have to sign the agreement, the contract. So why we put it off for another week? All we're doing is just extending this off for another week. I mean, I feel like we're just better off getting it done, getting it over with.
I mean,
We're not going to gain anything.
Okay, and Mr. Vos and then Mr.
you know what,
LaBlanche.
it accomplishes nothing more than letting everyone know whether or not Charter's offering a veterans discount. That's all it's gonna do. So we wait a week, we come back on camera, we say, Charter's not offering a veterans discount, and I get, that's what we're gonna do, because I pretty much know the answer already, but, let's.
I
think it's a useful
suspect
exercise.
that's
You were a
the.
guessing man.
Yeah, I suspect that's true. All I can tell you is that Comcast pretty much is the same discount that Comcast does. Comcast won't even put the discount in the franchise. They don't offer military. As I mentioned, Verizon won't offer any discount in the 105 franchises that Verizon has in the Commonwealth. Not one has a discount. So I suspect you're right. If you sign it, I can find out the same thing, but if you feel strongly and you would like to defer it, we can just, we'll have to change the dates and some of the things there. That's really up to you, but I suspect you're right.
Yes, Mr. Christie. Well, wait a minute. He was next, and then you. Go ahead.
Well, I was quickly trying to find it. Is the discount, even if they get it, is it just for the basic?
Yes.
So, your veteran would have to be taking just the basic. I mean, how many elderly really just take the basic and get the discount, and how many veterans probably do that? I think it's gonna be so minor. I know what you're trying to do,
I feel
Selectman
that people,
Berthew.
we laid our lives on the line
That's
for
correct.
this country, and there's greedy corporations like this that don't want to bend and give even the seniors. But then for the seniors who made this country what it is, we wouldn't have the good country that we live in. The blessings that we have is from the veterans and from the seniors.
I agree, Alan, and I think that unfortunately the contract isn't going to help, but I think that the access channels that we have are a great avenue for us to actually grow those programming for the veterans and for the channels. So I think in the long run, seeing what Access Oxford can do on a community level, not only through what they did through that Oxford celebration. I've talked to Dan and I've talked to Tony, and I know that the programming, if you've watched the channels at all, you've seen little glimmers of change. I actually think you're going to see a lot more soldier programming. I think you're going to see a lot of changes that you're not going to see a discount in the price, but I think you're going to be very proud of what the community is bringing to the table as far as veteran programming. So I know it's no consolation for the crap that the major corporations are doing, but I think you'll be very proud of what the channels will be doing as far as programming goes. And also, I wanted to let you know that the committee did, and I know we brought this up the last time, that we did recommend that you guys have a formal agreement with the Access Board moving forward. So just to make sure that you guys are planning a more formal agreement so that you guys are all on the same page, because what the committee really does want to see is a really huge growth pushing forward now that all that technology is in place, and no hang-ups and,
Well,
and,
that's
and,
something
and a
that's-
beauty.
That's been on our back burner for
Okay.
quite some time.
Now
so
that this
that's-
is kind of like a
Yeah.
done deal. I know this was really a kind of a technical thing, and again, you are correct. This really kind of is a rubber stamp, and it is awful, and it is not what anybody really kind of wanted. But at the end of the day, what is in there is really about the programming for the access.
I would
It is what it
entertain a
is.
motion, one way or the other, if someone wants to put a motion on, to hold it up for another week, or to vote to sign it tonight. Entertain any motion that, yes, you have a motion?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion that, we sign this agreement tonight. Personally, I don't think it's gonna help us either way, so I make a motion, we sign this agreement.
I'm just gonna second it for discussion.
Okay, it's been seconded for discussion.
How many towns do you represent as far as
I've
roughly,
represented hundreds.
ballpark? Okay. Any of the towns that you've represented, have you ever gotten a bigger discount for the seniors than this basic?
No, this is the same, this is the same bait.
You've never seen a larger discount?
You know, maybe 20 years ago, they had larger discounts, but if you're asking what it is today, this is virtually the same thing that Comcast does, and as I mentioned, they won't put it in the franchise. Verizon doesn't do anything, so it's pretty much, not to downplay,
Right.
it's pretty much the same discount.
And if I recall, I'd asked last time that you'd speak to him about the larger discount. I suspect you did. And we'd also talked about, well, maybe using the length of contract as a negotiating tool.
Yeah, we went around and around with that. The committee met with him, I talked to them, and we did not make much progress. We made some progress with continuing, as Kate mentioned, that grandfather discount for some period of time, but to be honest with you, we didn't make a whole lot of progress, and I understand it's frustrating. Believe me, I understand. Believe me, it would be much more satisfying to me if I could come and say, you know, we got X, Y, and Z, which helps subscribers without incurring costs or helps the town. You know, you do the best you can. There's a limited array of things that we can influence, and that's just the reality.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah, for the most part. So you don't think they care one way or another, whether it's a 5 or a 10-year contract?
No,
They don't care?
I don't particularly think they care. I think in the end, it makes more sense for the selectmen to do what makes sense for the town. 'Cause
No,
they,
I
you know,
understand. I'm talking about from their standpoint.
No, I
They
don't think they
They
particularly
don't, so we
care.
said, you know, give us a better discount, or we're
No,
gonna
I
go
don't
5
think,
years.
that's not gonna influence it. I mean, one way or the other, whether you vote tonight or not, I will certainly follow up and clarify the military thing. As I said, in Comcast, I've never even seen that exception. But one way or the other, I will call tomorrow so that we clarify that and see what they do with that, and I can get back to Joe on that.
Okay, any other discussion on the motion? Yes?
I understand what you said, Kate. The best way to hurt them is in the pocketbook. Don't subscribe, or just do the basic whatever. But when you were here in September, I believe it was, we made a lot of things we
July we were
wanted to
here,
do.
yeah.
And nothing ever came, this contract is the same. Nothing, nothing ever happened. Seemed like they just washed their hands of it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm kind of upset about the whole thing.
Some of the things, we had brought up a number of outstanding issues back in July, and a number of those issues were resolved. We clarified it after talking to you. Certainly with the discount, I agree with you. There was very little room we had to negotiate. But as you recall, there may have been 7 or 8 issues, and most of those issues we did resolve. And we resolved it in a way that was reasonable and was not just agreeing to everything they said. There was some give and take, but I understand in the scheme of things, it probably appears to be minimal. I understand that.
Any other questions? Okay, there's a motion on the floor, and I want to repeat the motion, please.
My motion was that we sign this 10-year agreement this evening. That's it.
Okay, and it's been seconded. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
Yes. So we have three yeses and 2 nos. Motion carries. Thank you for coming in.
Now, do you?
You have the signature sheets?
Yeah, if
Do you
we
have
sign
anything
this,
further for us?
you can.
No.
Thank you,
this
Kate.
right,
Oh.
take
Thank
it
you.
with
Thank you for
Sorry,
co-
Alan, sorry, Mike.
Oh, yeah, you
Thank
did
you
a
for
marvelous
coming
job.
in.
How
Thank you
many
for your,
sheets?
everything you did.
Hi, guys.
You're not the greedy corporation.
No, I'm not.
Okay,
We'll try to get you some good soldier stuff on TV.
all right. Mr. Chairman and board members, there are 3 copies of the signature page, and signature now is just
I have it
an
right.
administrative.
I thought
We have it here.
It's already signed here.
I think we,
Oh, you have it signed already?
Yeah.
How many copies?
I have 3.
Okay,
I just need
All
one
right.
member to sign 2.
thank you.
Now, I just get, this is just an administrative thing that we crossed out, a cost thing in the INET agreement. They're not charging for maintenance going forward, and we've got to make sure it conforms. So,
Okay.
as chairman, if you would just initial that, sir.
you still sign.
Yeah, take it out,
Doesn't matter how
because
you-
it
if you choose
contradicts
to.
the
You don't wanna
second
sign it,
They're
paragraph.
not charging.
Oh,
Got one
Whatever.
with a signature on it,
So I
2
will
without
send-
it.
So Karen has
Go to
that.
them.
Okay.
Oh. Do you want to re-sign?
You're on the record as voting now, so it doesn't matter whether it's signed or not.
So, do you have 3 copies?
I did have 3, and I
Okay.
didn't know if you needed
Oh.
this INET agreement, too.
Okay, for
No,
clar-
because the INET agreement was signed
still good,
before,
and
because
it's
it's
still
a
good, okay.
20-year agreement.
All right.
So we don't have
We
to
can check
sign.
that.
And I will make copies, and I can send to.
The chairman is going to sign
Okay.
Yeah.
And I can send them to Tom Cohan.
it. Okay, sure.
Unless you want to do it that
There's 3 copies that I don't have.
To do it 3 times, John.
oh, there's 3 pages there?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, because I'm gonna change that one phrase. So I'll just do it, and
Okay.
I'll send it to him.
Send me a
He's-
copy, too.
Yeah, he's gonna sign 3 copies. He'll
Okay.
send 1 to the town.
Right,
Charter will keep 1, and I'll get 1.
Right.
So that we can review.
okay.
All right? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna find
It
out
is what
about
it
that.
is.
And
Thank
I
you.
hope you have a nice Thanksgiving.
Okay, just for clarification purposes, just so that everybody understands what the motion was. The motion was not whether or not to sign the contract in general terms, but to sign the contract this evening as opposed to holding it for another week.
Correct.
Right,
That was the motion.
correct.
Okay,
All right.
clerk have that.
Thank you. I'll
Thank you
take
for
care of
coming in.
this, and I hope everybody has a nice Thanksgiving. And I
Same
will
to you.
follow up and clarify that, and I will get back to Joe on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing's gonna change.
No, nothing's gonna change.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, managers report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Manager's report for November 26th. Public hearing for underground storage tank license. We've received a request from Laurie Kelly, our town clerk, to schedule a public hearing for a storage tank license for the town of Oxford. The tanks are located at the DPW garage at 34 Charlton Street. Pleasure of the board to schedule a public hearing on January 7th, 2014.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion has been moved and seconded.
Second,
Okay, call for the vote.
Yes.
Abstain.
yes.
Yes.
Yes, 4 in the affirmative, 1 abstention, motion carries.
I have a mutual aid agreement, Police Powers in Worcester. Chief Hassett has provided a mutual aid agreement from the city of Worcester that will not only allow each municipality to help the other when needed, but also recognize Oxford officers' police powers while within the city. I've had this reviewed by town council and received approval from him, provided that we have accepted provisions of General Law, Chapter 40, Section 8G. I then checked with Town Clerk Laurie Kelly, learned that that Oxford did accept those provisions in 1973. That's the provision that allows these kind of intermunicipal agreements. Accordingly, I recommend your approval and signatures There are 2 copies in your to-be-signed folder. Pleasure of the board to approve and sign mutual aid agreement.
Now, is this just for the contiguous towns?
No, this is for, this is primarily so that when we take people, when we go to the courthouse, that our police powers, our police officers are recognized, their police powers are recognized in the city. Right now, when they're out of their district, they're not recognized. That's the important part of this.
It's just for courts, or is
Oh,
it?
no courts or any other reason they're in the
Is
city.
this similar to what Auburn did 2 weeks ago?
I think so. I think that, yes, they did the same thing.
It's just hospitals and courts, and if they have a traffic stop just over the line. It's not all through Worcester.
All right,
Just
well,
courts and
Okay,
hospitals.
so.
Okay, they're
So
itemized in
it's
the
basically the
agreement.
same,
Same thing, yes,
Same
all the
thing.
towns
All
are
right.
the same thing.
okay.
I hope we're not pulling people over in Worcester.
Okay,
I'll make
Good
that
board.
motion.
I'll second it.
moving seconded, discussion, there being none, call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 5 in the affirmative, motion carries.
We have Selectmen's Policy Number 1910 regarding traffic control and guide signs. Sean Dival, DPW Director, has submitted the finalized copy of the Selectmen's Sign Policy Number 1910, which is in your to-be-signed folder. Pleasure of the board to approve the final edition of the policy.
Entertain a motion,
I'll make that motion.
Second.
moving seconded, discussion, there being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 5 in the affirmative, motion carries.
And finally, I have a couple of announcements. Thanksgiving's not even over. On Depot Road, Old Depot Road will be closed on Thanksgiving evening, Thursday, November 28th, for the annual arrival of Santa Claus. From between 5:30 and 8:30, the road will be closed. And finally, a Christmas tree lighting ceremony will be held at the bandstand for the annual Christmas tree lighting at 6:30 p.m. at the bandstand on Main Street on Sunday, this Sunday, December 1st. Ceremonies at the bandstand will feature the Oxford High School Madrigal Choir and Brass, a live nativity pageant, and the arrival of Santa Claus at 7 p.m. There will be hay rides around Joslin Park after the arrival of Santa, free hot chocolate, and cookies will be served in the food tent. And that ends my report for November 26th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Selectmen's requests? Mr.
Thank you.
Marsh?
Well, the only thing I'd like to do tonight is wish the entire community of Oxford a very happy Thanksgiving, along with the board. Very happy Thanksgiving, happy and safe. Keep it safe. Thank you, that's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Vos?
Thank you, John. Joe, probably a couple of weeks back, I'd asked you to get together the information regards our elderly circuit breaker exemption level, what it was, what it can be moved to. Remember this conversation?
Yeah, and I gave you the,
And I also wanted some information as far as what the economic impact would be to the town of Oxford. How much money would it cost us to do this? Run the whole, that way, when, we got town meeting coming up in May, we got some time, but that way the board would possibly have some time to look at it. And I just think that, Alan makes a good point where, Social Security's going up by 1.5%, property taxes are going up by 2.5%. This may be a way to help some of our seniors who are in desperate need of some help. Maybe keep them in their homes. This might be just a little bit they need to keep their house, or maybe give them a half a tank of oil, whatever the case may be. So, if we could just take a look at this, if it's not possible, it's not possible. But if we have all the facts and figures and numbers, maybe we can move forward with this.
okay.
And like Mr. Lamarche, I'd like to wish everyone at home a happy Thanksgiving, everyone here. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And this is the first year, I think we got a new Super Bowl opponent this year, right? We're playing Bay Path this year.
Yes.
Yes.
We don't play the Dandies anymore. Well, excuse me, the Rockets.
He'll always be dandies to me.
But I have mixed emotions. I went to Bay Path, but I'm an Oxford guy, so I gotta root for the Pirates, and I guess go Pirates, right? Thank you.
I
Mr.
just say
President.
everyone a safe and happy Thanksgiving too, the board and everyone in Oxford. Thank you.
I would like to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving and good luck to the Pirates on Thanksgiving Day.
I gotta be the bad guy. I have more than one item here. First item on my selectman's request is, I received a phone call yesterday about an accident on Sutton Avenue at the intersection at Oxford Crossing, Market Basket, Home Depot. And then later in the day, I found out that it was someone who was employed here in town that was involved in that accident. But anyway, the call that I got, this person was like second or third car at that intersection and kind of saw how this all went down and suggested that the town take a good look at that intersection and look at the possibility of maybe left-hand arrows in that area. So I would ask the manager, since we are going to be doing some work on Sutton Avenue in the spring, the board voted on that at the last meeting, that this be included in there, to have
What was
the
the
engineers right at Lovett Road and Oxford
Lovett
Crossing.
Road, okay.
Right at Market Basket. Have our engineers take a look at it, and the highway superintendent.
Okay.
And we might want to also get a report from the police department as to not only that recent accident, but other accidents that may have occurred there that could help improve public safety at that intersection. And secondly, we had three liquor establishments that lost their right to serve alcoholic beverages for 3 days. There were several establishments, and they were told in writing that they were to turn their licenses in to the police department. Only one of the four had turned their license in. So I'm suggesting that we make an amendment to that policy, that if they don't turn them in, there's consequences involved. We have no way of knowing whether they were open that day or closed or what, because they didn't turn the license in. I did talk to the chief about it, and he went and had an officer go to the establishments to indeed find out if they were open or closed. And, obviously it's the word of the establishment. But in the future, they're going to have to turn that in, because that's the only way we know that they're complying. So I would ask the board to amend that, to put some teeth in it so that these people will do it. So I would take any suggestions that the board may have in regards to changing that policy or including something that would cause them to comply. Mr. Berthium had his hand up first, then Mr. Vos.
My suggestion is they lose the license for 3 days. Turn it in like they're supposed to. They were told here, they had written things when they get the license, and there was a written thing when they violated their thing. They have to lose it for 3 days. And they have to turn the license in, that's when the first day starts. Like I explained earlier, if you lose your license for the registry, you have to turn it in. If you don't, then you're gonna be a smart guy and say no. When you go get your license back, they're gonna say no. It starts that day. So I think we should make it limited for a weekend now. For 3 days.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't want to go back and, make it retroactive. What's happened's happened. This would have to, whatever we do, would have to be in the future.
But they didn't turn it in. So they didn't close. In my eyes, they didn't
Well,
close.
They said they did.
They said
We
they
had-
did.
We don't know that. So I would suggest we take their word for it at this time and then try to prevent it from happening in the future. Mr. Vos?
Yeah, I think we just had probably maybe a miscommunication here. I don't doubt that if they said they closed it, they probably did. What I would recommend is, as you mentioned, changing the policy, but also as part of, I think that we should have, if you're closed those 3 days, we should have an officer swing by, any establishment that has been closed, we should go in and we should check to make sure that in fact they are closed. Because even if they turn their license in, John, I don't mean they're not gonna sell booze. We don't know. I mean, you know, the police officers park at various locations throughout the town, and they can stop by any particular establishment and take a quick look and see whether or not they're selling alcohol. So I think, you know, that should be something that'd be included in our next policy, just some type of verification that, you know, that'd be my recommendation.
I understand. That sounds good. Yes.
Yeah, we had discussed this earlier, before the meeting started, and I was very much surprised that we don't do spot checks, that we don't check on these establishments. And I have to agree with Selectman Bose. It should be something that's done not just once, but could be done 2, 3, 5 times in those 3 days. That it should be part of our policy that the police officers, when they're patrolling, just go in and check it out. I mean, it would take no major effort as far as I can see, because the officers are patrolling and they're in the area. In regards to what we should do, I firmly resolve with Selectman Bertham's idea. I know we can't do it this time around, but I think in the future, it should be that you don't turn it in, you get an extra 3 days. So instead of 3, it's 6. You know, that will surely get their attention. I would think that we want to drop this off. Because if you don't, and our officers go there and say, listen, we need your license, now you have 6 days. And it should be, to me, it'd be right in the letter. And, you know, it's just a very simple thing. Turn it in, or you get the double the whammy. If it's 7 days, turn it in, or it's 14. That's, just double it. It sounds cruel probably and hard, but it sure will send the message that, oh, we better turn this thing in. That's my opinion.
I think it sounds a little too tough, in my opinion. And something should be done.
Mhm.
I would suggest, and I throw this out there for the board's consideration, that for each day that it is not turned in, an additional day will be added. In other words, if they don't turn it in the day they're supposed to, they turn it in the following day, then we add a day. And if they don't turn it in for 2 days, we add 2 days. If they don't turn it in for the whole 3, then we add the 3 that you're suggesting.
But in the meantime, are we having an officer go there to check to see if they
Well,
are
I think that should
open?
be part of it. I like that idea.
I mean,
I think the police should do spot checks once the license is.
so when the police go there, they don't have to ask about the license or nothing. They're just kind of checking it out.
Right.
And, okay, I agree with that.
And to John's point,
Yep.
where it's typically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, those are the slow days. They're not gonna want to be rolling over into Thursday,
Right.
Friday, and
Those are
Saturday.
their
So
busy days.
I think once, you know, they get caught the first day, it's gonna be, you know,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, the officers
It's
won't
punitive.
remind them. They're just going to.
Oh, yeah,
The-
oh,
the thing
absolutely,
is,
absolutely.
You know, the funny part about this is that they get a notice, and it says right on there. They get notified twice, and it says right on there that they have to sign this. They signed it accepting those rules, that they have to turn it in to the police department. They
Right.
still don't.
Yeah, we just need
Right,
to, we
so
need to
they
drive
should-
that home when they do
Right.
this.
So if
People
there's a
get
little
busy.
penalty there, like you had suggested,
Yep.
then, you know, they'll wake up. If it's gonna cost them another day, every day they're late, it could go as high as 6 days.
That's correct.
So it's every day for every one that they don't turn it
I
in.
agree. Great idea.
Like you said, though, you feel it's being hard. If you're still a 18-year-old booze, that's hard, too.
Oh, I agree. I
And that's
agree
why
with
the,
you.
that's why the
I agree
policy's
with
in
you.
place.
But I just think doubling it up
No, that's,
right away and
Yeah.
just automatically giving 3 is harsh.
So, we want-
I mean, somebody can forget, they might come in the next day, okay, you forgot, but you still got 1 day, we're gonna add to it.
so I'll make the motion that we change our policy so that if, for every day they don't turn in their license, another day will be added. in that we also have the police officers do periodic checks at the establishments just to make sure that they are following through with our policy.
Makes sense.
Second that for some brief discussion.
Okay, it's been seconded.
Should we quantify the amount of checks? Because, it could get down to a point where, the police are busy, or it's, I think there should just be, I would say, multiple checks per day, or 3 checks per day at 3 different points in time. Because for the most part, when we have these compliance checks, this is unusual to have 4. Usually it's a couple, or 1 or 2. So I would just recommend that we say, there'd be 3 daily checks during your period of your license suspension.
How about at least once during all 3 shifts?
Okay.
Great. Yep, okay,
Where there, every shift
Yep.
is covered, every time of the day.
right. Yep, that works.
Any other discussion? There being none, I'll
What,
call-
what time do the package stores usually close?
it depends on the day. They usually close by, most of them by 11, they're
Yeah,
closed.
so third shift wouldn't.
Wouldn't affect them,
It would affect,
affect the other 2 shifts.
At least that way it's not
Yeah.
more burdensome on
it would
one shift.
affect your
Right.
drinking establishments, because they are open till 1 or 2, so.
Okay, call for the vote?
Yes,
Yes.
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 Yes, 5 in the affirmative, motion carries. Okay, that was number 2. Number 3, we all received a copy of a letter that was sent to us. It's a memorandum from Chief of Police Michael Hassett to the Board of Selectmen and Town Manager, requesting the board's consideration in creating a position of lieutenant in the Oxford Police Department, and also backfilling that by adding another sergeant position. I would suggest that before we do any discussion on this, that we have the chief present to discuss this, because I know I read it, and I know you all have, and I know that every one of you has certain questions or backup questions that you want to ask, follow-up questions you want to ask the chief for clarification. This is an important decision. It affects the budget, it affects the manpower, it affects the security within the department. So there's a lot that has to be answered here before we move forward with this. There has to be a description of the position, what we expect of that position, what the job description is going to be, duties and responsibilities. Just a simple request isn't enough. This is too important. And I think by just acting on a memo without the chief present would be foolhardy on our part on such an important request. So I'm going to ask that we have the manager contact the police chief and set up a date to get onto our agenda and use this as an agenda item. There was a motion, and you want questions first?
Is there a motion? Okay.
I'm requesting a motion to have the
Okay.
chief in to discuss the request.
I'll make that motion for discussion.
Okay, it's been moved and
I'll
seconded.
second it for discussion
Okay,
as well.
so now it's open for discussion.
I agree 100%. We're not gonna do this with a memorandum. I think the memo is vague at best. I respect the chief's opinion. I think, Joe, we need to get into the dollars and cents of this thing. How much is this position gonna be paid? Is this person gonna need a car? We're looking at a lot of money, looking at salary, we're looking at health insurance, we're looking at other
Overtime.
benefits, is overtime, just the vacation time, sick time. There's a lot of things that come into play here, additional retirement costs. We really need all the dollars and cents on this thing, right down the line, in a lot of these, I guess we can ask, we need, when this chief comes in here, we need all these questions answered, I think, prior to, because to me, that's what it's really all about, dollars and cents. We're trying to save money everywhere we can. We've done that as a board, but I don't want to throw it all away with just hiring one police officer, a lieutenant.
You had,
Yes, well, I did read that, and the one thing I would like to see before we really act on this is a job description. What is this person actually going to do? You know, to all of a sudden, I mean, we know what our sergeants do, we know what the chief does, we have a description there. So what is this lieutenant actually going to do? If I could get an idea of that beforehand, I think that's an important aspect also.
there's a lot of unanswered questions. Any other questions or comments? Okay, then the motion is that we have the chief in as an agenda item to discuss justification of this request. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes,
Yes.
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 Yes, 5 in the affirmative, motion carries. And the final thing I have is I'd like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next week.
Excellent.
Motion to adjourn,
so moved,
Second?
call for the vote.
yes.
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 Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you for coming.